Alright, so the second game of the June 2013 LSAT tells us that exactly 6 Petri dishes, labeled 1 through 6, are to be stored in an otherwise empty refrigerator. There are 3 available shelves, the bottom shelf, the middle shelf, and the top shelf. The placement of the dishes must be consistent with the following conditions. Alright, before proceeding to the conditions, let's place what we know so far. Again, we have 6 dishes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we are placing these 6 dishes on 3 available shelves, bottom, middle, and top. Alright, so now let's turn our attention to the conditions. And the first condition tells us that no more than 3 dishes are stored on any shelf. Alright, so that's going to tell us that maximum 3 on any shelf, which gives us a number of possibilities. Obviously, we could go 3, 3, and have 0 on 1, because again, nothing says we have to have at least 1 on each shelf. Another possibility would go to 3, 2, 1, and the only other one would be 2, 2, and 2. Alright, turning our attention here to the second condition, dish 2 is stored at least 1 shelf above dish 6. Alright, so we know that dish 2 is at least 1 shelf above dish 6. And again, remember that's at least 1 shelf. Possible that there's 2 above. Dish 2 is 2 shelves above dish 6. And again, from that rule, we can conclude that we can't have the 6th dish on the top shelf and we can't have the 2nd dish on the bottom shelf. Turning my attention to the third condition, dish 6 is stored either 1 shelf above or 1 shelf below dish 5. So you notice here we're going to have 2 possibilities. We're either going to see 6, 5, or we are going to see a 5, 6 block. Now you should notice here that the only possibilities are going to be top middle or middle bottom for this 6-5 block. Top middle, middle bottom. Notice again, top middle or middle bottom. In both of those scenarios, what do we see? Well, we see that at least 1 of 5 or 6 is going to be present in the middle shelf. Now, we can spend a bit more time just flushing these out again, because there's only going to be either 5, 6 or 6, 5. So let's think about that in a bit more detail and see what else we can come up with. So let's first pretend we're going to go with our 5 and 6 in middle and bottom. Well, you notice that here we know that 2 has to be at least 1 shelf above 6, so it's either going to be in middle or top. So 2 possibilities actually here. This would be one and that would be the other. But again, that is not the only possibility. Nothing is stopping us from having 6 be in middle and 5 be at the top. Now again, 2 in this scenario would have to be in the top shelf. But notice that's not the only possibility, because we could actually have 6 here and then put 5 in the bottom shelf. And again, in that scenario, 2 would have to be in the top shelf. And those are the only possibilities, right? Remember, we can't have 6 appear top, 5 middle, because of the rule that the 2nd dish must be at least 1 shelf above the 6th dish, which rules out the possibility that 6 can be in the top shelf, and that's why we don't try out that possibility. And then the fourth and final condition tells us that if dish 1 is not stored on the same shelf as dish 4, and that would be the setup for this game. So now that we have our rules and our deductions, let's turn our attention to the questions.